So the trending news story that's been going on for, I think, the last 2 days hasn't been the huge amount of debt that this country's in, not the dozens of wars that we're in, not how the government is violating our human rights every single day, tearing up the Constitution. No, it's the Russians. The Democrats are constantly pushing this Russian narrative. I talked about it when it first started in November. Right after the election, they accused Russia of hacking the election, of somehow doing something non-specific because they can't name anything to help Trump into the White House. That's the story that they're going with, is that Trump is not really our president. Trump didn't win fair and square. He cheated. He conned his way into the White House. And they're blaming the Russians. The Russians helped him do this. I'm just sitting here. This has been going on for months. It died down a couple of weeks ago through my other shit, but his budget plan and things like that. And then now the FBI is investigating the thing again. And so now people are talking about it again. And it's just like, Trump did not get into the White House because the Russians hacked the election, meddled in our affairs. They didn't do anything. He won because he got more electoral votes than Clinton did, or anyone else for that matter. And guess what? That is the legitimate way of winning. It doesn't matter if the Russians hacked the DNC. People each had their own reasons for voting for Trump, and simply exposing crimes that the DNC and Hillary Clinton did is not rigging the election. This is the idea that they're going with. I'm not going to go into it in depth, but it's just like when I try to ask all these Democrats, all these people, that's the mainstream narrative that you hear across Democrats, and then the mainstream media is mostly liberal, so that's what you hear, is that the Russians did something that somehow influenced the election and made Trump win. I keep asking them, like begging them over Twitter and Facebook, just tell me, what did they actually do? I want to know. I'm trying to understand your point of view, your side of the story, your narrative. I keep on asking you this question, and no one, dozens of people throughout the months I've asked, no one can give me a tangible thing. The only tangible thing they can give me is the Russians hacked the DNC. That has nothing to do with the election. That has nothing to do with the electoral votes. That has nothing to do with anything. They just provided information. How is providing information meddling in the election? Why can Saudi Arabia give the Clinton campaign up to, some reports, 20% of her campaign was funded by Saudi Arabia? How can Saudi Arabia, who hates democratic values, who hates our liberty and freedom, represses their own citizens and kills their own citizens and other countries' citizens like Bahrain's, but we're getting distracted here. Why can they directly give the Clinton campaign millions of dollars for her campaign for president, but yet the Russians can't hack the DNC and simply show emails that between DNC chairman and Hillary Clinton, whatever, just various Democrats? It's just like, again, they're shooting the messenger, not the message. Democrats are infuriated that they got exposed for being the corrupt, vile party that they are. They were so mad that these emails got hacked and got leaked to the public, so now everyone in the world can see how horrible of a party they are. They got so mad, they're trying to shoot the messenger. And no one is refuting anything that's in these emails. All these emails are true. None of the Democrats are denying that any of this stuff is true. They didn't think it's fabricated or anything like that. They're not debating the issues. They're not countering the points that were made in those emails. All they're saying is, oh, you got it illegally. You hacked it. If simply providing information is meddling in an election, then you must apply this standard to every single entity that provides information during an election. And then dozens, hundreds of organizations provide information that influences people's mind on who they should vote for. So to accuse the Russians of meddling in our democracy, weakening our democracy because all they are doing is just hacking the DNC, how is that meddling? And that's the only tangible thing they can point to. They always talk in non-specific terms, non-tangible terms that you can't physically grab or see. They always say, like, weakening our democracy. The Russians are trying to weaken our democracy. How? What does that mean? What actions are they doing to actually weaken our democracy? What tangible evidence do you have that they are doing this? And they can't provide anything. They're just like, oh, they're trying to influence our politics. Well, you know what? Everyone has the rights to influence whatever they want. Obama can talk about, well, he doesn't want Britain to leave during Brexit. He is allowed to do that. That is perfectly fine. He may have swayed some people's votes during that because lots of people liked Obama in Britain. That's not illegal. That's not influencing the. That's not meddling in an election in Britain. Just their standards make no sense. Just this whole narrative, this whole story about the FBI investigating this and that, and Democrats saying that Trump is a Russian pawn, you know, and he's going to do Russia's bidding in the White House. Just all of this, just this whole thing is complete and utter nonsense. It's the Democrats. This is the way of how they're trying to fight Trump. They're not countering him on his issues or on his policies or on the things he's passing because they know they can't do it. They don't have the numbers in Congress. They don't get to choose the Supreme Courts, and they certainly don't have the presidency. So all three branches of the government are under right-wing control, and they are just seething with anger that this happened. And that they can't beat him on votes because he has a majority in Congress. His things will get passed. Not all the time, because his Muslim ban, his travel ban, got blocked, showing that he can't do whatever he wants. He still has limitations, and he's not a dictator. He can't just override Congress and the courts. But again, we're getting sidetracked here. But so they can't fight him that way. So in their stupid little minds, they thought, okay, how can we fight against Trump? How can we attack him? Oh, let's go after. He's not legitimate. He didn't win fair and square. He shouldn't be there. Clinton should be there. He cheated his way into the White House with Russia's help. That's how we're going to attack him. Setting the stage for, I don't know their endgame. It just makes no sense to go after him like this when there's no evidence whatsoever. They keep on saying, oh, we're investigating. The FBI is looking into all these documents. They're interviewing all these people, and just nothing tangible. You can pour through the articles on this issue. You can ask every Democrat on the face of the earth, and they come up with absolutely nothing. The whole thing is bullshit. This is why they call the mainstream media fake news, because they take one tangible thing that actually happened, Russia hacking the DNC, and they explode it into this giant conspiracy theory that it involves so many people and so many dollars and so many years of planning that it's just unbelievable that they think this is actually the case. It's like, yes, hypothetically, anything could be true, but the fact that you can't name me something that Russia did, like, did Russia hack the electoral machines that register voters? Did they spread propaganda to change people's minds? And it's like, yeah, you can, every piece of information you don't like, every narrative you don't like is automatically propaganda. What a surprise. Like, Russia Today is the propaganda machine of the Russian government. They report some things correctly. Usually, like every other organization, they can criticize other organizations or their enemies very well. But when it comes to their own allies or themselves, of course, they're not non-judgmental. They're not objective. They're not rational when it comes to critiquing anything Russian or anything within Russia's interest. But they can accurately critique their enemies, like America. Not exactly enemy, but rival. But you know what I mean. It's just every single organization does this. CNN can accurately report on the corruption within the Russian government, for example. When it comes to talking about America doing something bad or something related to terrorism, then they suddenly just mute on it and they don't talk about it. And CNN and Russia Today are the exact same mouthpieces, but for different governments. So to say that Russia influenced the election by propagating fake stories, well, every single organization does that. Fox News does that. CNN does that. MSNBC does that. ABC does that. Yahoo News. Every single organization, just every single large media outlet is propagating their own narrative at the expense of their enemies. So if you want to call that propaganda, then you better, if you want to call Russia Today propaganda, then you better call all of the left-wing organizations that spew a bunch of bullshit. And the right, too. Breitbart, Fox News already did a video on Bill Riley. Like, he's just a fucking retard. He just spews complete utter fucking nonsense. And that's taken by millions of right-wingers as news. we got sort of sidetracked here. We were talking about Russia, and then we went on to mainstream media and fake news. Let's try to hurry back here and come to a conclusion here. So that's all I'm saying. I could have condensed this a little more, but this was the leading topic for several days now. This is all anyone's talking about. The other news stories I looked at weren't that important and didn't really interest me, but this one is just like, they are hammering this point all the time, blasting on Twitter, blasting on Facebook, blasting on trending Google News, just this whole conspiracy theory that Russia helped install Trump into the White House. For some reason, Trump's going to pass policies to help them. There's nothing tangible. There's nothing to go on this thing. You know, people call me a conspiracy theorist because they say, oh, the U.S. government is taking away our rights, and they call me a conspiracy theorist for saying so. I'm like, well, I can point to the Patriot Act, NDA, that takes away our rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution. I can read you the Constitution, read the rights that we have, and see how the Patriot Act and NDA takes away blah, 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 blah. I can go through it. You know, this is tangible evidence. Looking at the actual documentation, the actual law that is the Patriot Act, NDA, taking the actual rights in the Constitution, and I can rationally, objectively, logically show you why these laws break our rights. But with this, there's just nothing to go on. They have nothing. It's so pathetic. And I'm sick and tired of seeing this trending on the news. I mean, this has just been going on for months now. It's like, when will you people shut the fuck up? And yes, Trump is our president. I know you don't like that. I don't like that either. I didn't vote for him. Look at my fucking shirt who I voted for. I don't want him in office. But just because I disagree with his policy doesn't mean that I will lie about him and try to make him out to be some foreign puppet. He's not the real president. He didn't win fair and square. I'm not going to say that. I'm never going to say that. I'm going to take his policies as I've done in several videos and see why they're complete fucking bullshit. But I'm not going to go after this tiny, it's like a cheap shot. You know, because you can say he's a foreign installed puppet. That's a huge charge to say against the president. And he's like, well, where's your evidence? Well, I don't have any. Democrats are going about this completely the wrong way. If they want ever a chance of taking back a part of Congress in the next election, they are just completely doing this the wrong way. The majority of the country is looking at them just saying, what the fucking hell are you talking about? Even Russians, who don't particularly like Trump, are looking at this and it's like they are devolving into lunacy. They're going on and on about this conspiracy theory that just has absolutely no evidence whatsoever. At least actual conspiracy theories, they treat all the evidence against it as proof that the conspiracy exists. But for this, they don't even have that. They have nothing to go on. They always talk about intangible things that you can't physically verify, like weakening democracy. Well, what does that mean? That's just an idea. It's non-tangible. What does it mean when you say weaken democracy? I don't see Russia hacking the DNC as weakening democracy. Democracy worked completely the way it should be in this country. People were allowed to vote. There was no rigging votes. People were not barred from voting. And people voted for who they wanted to. It was tallied correctly from all that I've seen. And here are the net results. Trump won the election. Get the fuck over it. And attack his policies, not trying to delegitimize him.